you know how we done. It is what it is. Lab love, bring it so uncut. And when you leave, you saying that's what's up. Get in trouble tonight. Better watch what you scream up here. Cause I'm the type that'll scream back. I don't know what you think this is, but I ain't got a problem with that. I give it to you real straight up. I give it to you blunt uncut. Know that I'm gonna get in trouble. You know it is what it is with me. Know what you came to see. You want it raw and you want it G. If you get it, you know what's up. I gotta tell the truth 'cause I don't give. I'm gonna get in trouble. You know I give it to you blunt from the ATL. You know how we done. It is what it is. Lab love, bring it so uncut. And when you leave, you saying that's what's up. Get in trouble tonight.
Yeah. What it do, people? It is the Humans Are Trash podcast. I am your host. Have Love. We here. New episode every Tuesday live on Facebook and then reposted on YouTube and all the other platforms. So if you've never watched the podcast, you want to know what the podcast is about. The podcast is simply about the hypocrisy of humans. Humans are hypocritical. Every single one of us on the face of this planet are hypocrites. We hypocrites when it's convenient. We hypocrites when we want it to be our way. We hypocrites when we don't like the rules that have been set forth. That is what we are. It is one of the fallibilities of humanity. Today, we're going to talk about parents, people that got kids. And even if you don't have kids, you've experienced somebody's child, be it your niece, your nephew, your next door neighbor, kid at the grocery store, or something like that. So first, before we go down this road, parenting does not come with a handbook. Nobody know how to raise kids. Nobody comes in, give you a class, and you do the best you can. I always jokingly say, being a parent, your job is to not kill them and keep them from killing themselves. That's your job as a parent, because outside of that, you can't do a whole lot else because you learn it on the fly and they learn it on the fly. Some stuff you think you know, but you might not know because your kid might not respond to what you think you know about parenting. Now, that being said, I do think there are some baselines when it comes to parenting. I think some stuff should be self-explanatory. I don't think nobody should have to teach you, show you, or tell you certain things. Because I think if you are a decent human, then you should know to or not to do these things. So I think there are bad parents. I think you can be a horrible parent. And being a horrible parent ain't always beating the kids. That is one of the things that would make you, or not be abusing. Because ain't nothing wrong with a little butt whooping. See, but some people think you're a horrible parent because you spank. They think that makes you a horrible parent. Why would you hit them kids? Because some kids need to be hit. That's why. Some people need to be hit. Some grown people need to be hit. So I know you don't think that kids don't need to be hit. They do. But some people think that is horrible. That they think you are being a bad parent. You know, we've ushered in this age of what they call gentle parenting now, where people talk to their kids and they have these nice, lovely conversations with them and they want to know how you feel. And man, stop. Stall me out with all of that. No, nobody care about none of that you talk about. So the first question is, what is bad parenting? What does that look like? Let me give you an example.
Right here. Count all three of them. Which one of them is 9? Look like an old ass man. This fucking shit right here. Count all three of them. Which one of them is 9?
Is that good parenting? Is that bad parenting?
Look like an old ass man.
So let me I guess I'm disturbed by this because let me say this. This is coming from a dude who early on I was not the best student in school, and I was not the best student for a multitude of reasons. But it had nothing to do with being smart or not being smart. My self-esteem was not where it needed to be, so I wasn't confident, period. So it reflected in schoolwork because I didn't speak up, I didn't ask questions, I was mousy, I was real quiet. And so that translated to schoolwork. So I never asked questions. I wasn't in the front of the class. I just sat in the back, and whatever was said, if I didn't understand something, I just let it go. And so I had some nights like this little boy where I was struggling to learn whatever I was learning, to retain whatever I was trying to retain. And it just wasn't happening. And yeah, I was getting popped. So some people would say this is bad parenting. Now, I don't necessarily, I think there's a balance with this, because sometimes with kids, they just don't know. And one of the things about as a parent, when you know better, you do better. One of the things I learned, because my son kind of was the same way, I learned that every kid, one, doesn't learn the same way. And sometimes it's about how the material is presented to the child. And so if it's not presented in a way that's palatable for them, then they're probably not going to get it. It's going to be hard for them to get it. And parents are intimidating to kids. They most kids have a healthy fear of their parents when they get to the school age. So when you raise your voice or you stiffen up, it makes them nervous. And a lot of times they'll shut down. See, but that's one of those things you learn. Now, our parents didn't care about none of that. They didn't. Now the flip side of that is kids can be stubborn, especially little boys. They can be stubborn as hell, and it ain't about not knowing or whatever. You just want to do what you want to do because you don't feel like doing this homework. Now, let me tell you what the problem I have with what mom just did right here is. It is the belittling of him after the pop. That's where this runs afoul to me, because you hit him because he's not doing what you think he should do as it relates to the work. I give you a pass on that. It is what it is. But you can't belittle him and call him names and do all of these things to him after that and expect him to respond positively. That's not positive reinforcement. That's not helping him learn this, to talk about how he looks. And see, and that's another thing I've learned. A lot of these single moms, I think you overcompensate, especially when it comes to little boys, because you think you got to be tough, you got to show them how to be a man, and you got to, and it don't take all that. The reality is, a lot of being a man is subtle stuff. It's not necessarily the stuff that you think it is. I think there's this concept. Before you see men do what y'all perceive to be man stuff, there's a lot of steps to happen before that. It's a lot of interaction, a lot of man speak, a lot of head nodding and hand shaking and posturing that takes place way before men do, again, what you deem to be man stuff. So when I see women mimic what they think we do, it tends to be from a perspective of the finished product after all of the posturing that they didn't see took place. It happened after the eye contact and the shifting of the eyes and all of these little small nonverbal things that have taken place before that. You tend to mimic those things. You see a stud, you got her pants sagging, and she looked like the dudes that she see, because she see these finished products on the street. But she don't see that this dude's pants are sagging because he didn't have no daddy, and he learned how to be a man or an adult from other street dudes. He didn't learn how to be that from a man. He learned that from other street dudes. And street dudes aren't necessarily great representatives of a man, but you only see the finished product. And so I think a lot of times when mothers are dealing with little boys, that's what they're doing. They're mimicking what they perceive to be the finished product of a man. And it's not necessarily you didn't see how this man was molded and shaped. And if you did, you wouldn't be using those same tools, because you would know that you're not going to get the product you think you're going to get by doing these things. So I think it has to be a better way to do this. I think a lot of y'all are trash parents. And the problem with this is a lot of you don't know you trash parents. You just don't know. And that's because you know the old saying, you don't know what you don't know. Like, and sometimes you're doing stuff where you think
I wish you would run up. Run up, bro. Run up.
Come on, bro. I'm an anti-blood nigga. Right, nigga. Run up, bitch. I'ma knock that bitch out, bro. I'ma knock that bitch out. I fight women, nigga. I fight women, nigga. Anti Westside. I fight women, nigga. I fight women and man, nigga.
Okay, so let me tell you what's wrong with this. One, Mom, you should never be on the bus like that. You should never be on the bus like that. And I know some of y'all think that this is decent behavior. Mess with my child, I'm coming to get on the bus. I get it. One, you're a woman, and that's a little boy. So that's not the move. Because now you put this boy in a position to where he potentially has to have a physical confrontation with a woman. Well, why would you put him in that position? Regardless, now that aside, this little boy is disrespectful as hell. He is clearly has no future at this point in his life. Now, that don't mean he can't turn it around, but right now in this video, his future is trash. The only thing he got a one-way ticket, probably to somebody's jail, a cemetery, throwing up gang signs and all this stuff right there. That's where he headed. Again, right now in this video. Now, where he'll be if he get his life turned around, who knows? But right now, here today, he's a garbage child and probably has been created by a garbage parent. And she thinks she's being a better parent or super parent because you're on the bus. That's not it. That's not the move. And I know a lot of y'all feel like this is what's supposed to happen. I get it. And I get it. I'm not. And again, remember, we talked about the hypocrisy of humans. And I'm saying all this, but I can't make you make the promise that if somebody's messing with my child, that I won't run up on the school bus. Well, I won't. Let me say that. I won't. But I might run up on their parents. But the problem with that is everybody out here, you think you run up on somebody's parents, I'll whoop your daddy ass. Well, what if his daddy got that thing and I ain't got that thing? Or if I do got that thing and daddy got that thing, now we gotta have a shootout at the bus stop. Well, I mean, what how did that solve anything? We're gonna have a shootout at the bus stop. How does that end? If I got my pistol and he got his, and I roll up on him, how is that supposed to end? Because the thing about what I wanted, supposedly, is if this is a situation of bullying, I want his child to stop picking on my child, right? That's what I want. So I want my child to be happy. I want my child to be able to go to school in peace and be happy and smiling kid without being bullied. Well, if that's what I'm looking for, how does my child's life look if her daddy in jail for having killed another man? How does my child's life look if I'm dead? How did I solve this problem? I didn't. What I did is I created another problem. I left my child fatherless or some other kids fatherless. Or in jail because I shot him. He didn't die, but I got an attempted murder charge. He shoot me, I don't die, but I've been shot. Now I got to walk around wounded or whatever for the rest of my life. Again, where is the solution in it? See, this is the thing when I talk about how we are trash, because we don't think about none of that. We just feel like we're supposed to act. We just want to act. We felt a type of way, and so we move out and we act because I got to be super parent. I got to pop out and show these niggas. Do you really, though? Do you really? And I've heard the horror story, so I don't want to make it seem like I not heard the horror stories of the parents who say they have called the school 100 times and nobody has done anything, and I've heard those stories. But I propose this. A lot of times we think we are doing something and we're not doing something. Like, for example, if your child is being bullied and you call the principal and you say, child X is picking on my child. Or you go up to the school and you say, child X is picking on my child. The principal say, we'll look into it. Then there should be a follow-up. What have you done? Then a lot of times they're going to hide behind, well, this is kids' disciplinary records. I can't divulge what we have done to this child, so on and so forth. That's the first thing you're going to get. So I get it. I've heard a million stories. So once you get that, now you got to observe and talk to your child and see if it has stopped. If it has not stopped, you go back to the principal like, yo, I know you said you can't tell me what you did, but clearly whatever you did not work because said child is still picking on my child. Now, principal's going to act or whatever. So now we're going to pause right there. See, because this is where I deviate from the path of trying to be a better human. And just being human. Because now at this point, I'm not telling my child to start telling. Now I think I'm going old school. I'm going to tell my child, listen, we done tried to talk and rap. I done talked to them twice, and I'm going to make sure everything's in writing. I'm going to send an email because I need all of this in writing. See, because another thing I've seen is, or I've heard is that, you know, you make these phone calls and all this stuff right here, and then magically nobody remembers these conversations. Nobody remember you coming to the school. Nobody remembers what you asked for. That's why you got to put everything in writing. Because what I'm going to tell my daughter or my son to do, the next time this kid roll up on you, I want you to slap 5 from him. That's what I want you to do. Don't be out there jaw jacking. Don't be talking. Don't be doing none of this mess. But I want you to tell right off into his or her ass. That's what I want you to do. And we'll deal with the fallout accordingly afterwards. But that's what I want you to do. See, because I think this solves 2 problems. One, most bullies, they look for weak opponents. They look for somebody who they think isn't going to fight back. That's that piece of it. They look for somebody who's not going to fight back. So you got to fight back. And the thing that it does twice, if your child wins, clearly the bully not coming back because they don't want none of that smoke no more. And you need to prepare your kid just in case he or she does lose. What you want to do is, and I was taught this by my hood cousins, is what you want to do is you want to get the first lick. And the first lick got to be a mighty blow. Because if you strike the first blow, you're going to shake them. And if it's a good blow, you're going to hurt them a little bit. And then if they beat you, that's fine. But what you have done is you've put it in their head. When I fought so-and-so last time, he got one off or she got one off. So if we fight again, he or she might get 2, 3 off. So it makes them question whether or not you're not an easy target anymore. See, that's the thing about it is we don't teach kids on how to deal with bullies no more. Sometimes bullies just got to be dealt with. Life has bullies. Your bill collectors, they bullies and they ain't going nowhere because they need them. It is what it is. That boss who has a bad personality and bad attitude every day, he ain't going nowhere. She ain't going nowhere. And this whole idea, well, if you don't want to, well, I ain't standing no, this new generation, I ain't standing no job, I ain't happy yet. These people ain't just gonna pick on me and treat me any kind of way. That sound good till you got responsibilities. That sound damn good till you get responsibilities. I'll just leave a job, to hell with them. That sound good. Till you got mouths to feed. That sound good till you got a mortgage. That sound good till you got a car note. See what I'm saying? All that sound good until those things start jumping off. So you have to remember that in these type of situations, you just got to make better choices as a parent. And I don't think any parent, let me not say any, I don't think most parents are looking to be bad parents. I think it is a circle. Your mama or daddy was trash, or your mom and daddy was trash because they mom and daddy was trash. So your grandparents was trash, so your mom and daddy's trash. And your grandparents was trash because your great grandmama or great granddaddy was trash. Or when you start to get to that age group, they probably weren't trash. They probably just weren't educated enough to do better. You know, we said when you know better, you do better. You know, if we get to your great grandparents, and your great grandparents, they actually knew slaves. They actually knew people were slaves. That's how close slavery was, but that's a whole nother conversation for a different day. So in our community, your great grandparents grew up in a day and time that is unimaginable. So they get a pass. But everything after that, not so much. So I think a lot of times when people are bad parents, they're bad parents. Everybody has seen somebody and with their kid, or heard something that they did with their kids or something, and you shook your head and say, see, everybody ain't supposed to have kids. We done all did it. We've all done it because we see it. And sometimes I feel that way, but I don't trust the government enough to regulate who can and can't have kids. So I don't want them to pass a law to dictate who can have kids and who can't, because I don't trust them enough for that. But I do wish that there was some way to keep everybody from having kids, because everybody don't get them. And that's another thing. A lot of y'all have kids and you're ill prepared to be a parent on multiple levels. You're not prepared to be a parent financially, not prepared to be a parent mentally. You're not prepared to be a parent. Your personal life isn't stable, but you're gonna bring a child into your mess. See what I'm saying? That is being. I don't know what happened there. So yeah, being a parent is a sacrifice. It's one of the ultimate sacrifices, because once you have kids, it's no longer about you anymore. It's no longer about you. The rest of your existence until they turn 18 or 21 or 24, whatever. We're not gonna put an age on it because I don't feel like having that conversation. But it is your responsibility to make sure that they get every single tool that they can get in their toolbox growing up to be better humans. It's all your job. And you have to do that. And if you don't do that, you are derelict as a parent. But a lot of y'all don't think like that. A lot of y'all get kids and you still think you can live your best life. You can't live your best life. If your best life includes them kids going without, then you don't get to do that. I hear people say, well, I ain't supposed to have no life. You can have one, but it's got to be a minimum one. Because when you have kids, you make that sacrifice. You have said, I'm getting ready to put another life before mine because this life didn't ask to be here. That's what you've said. I'll make whatever sacrifice I need to make to provide for this life, this human, because they didn't ask to be here. I made them. I helped create them. So you have to create a way. You have to create. So that's a piece that I don't think people think deeply enough about that part of parenting. Another piece of parenting, I don't think people take into account what it takes to be a parent and a good parent. I don't think a lot of people take into account what that requires, the amount of time that requires, uh, the amount of effort that requires. It doesn't, like, one of the things that agitates my soul is when people see people like Nick Cannon or professional athletes who have all these kids, and their response is, "Well, he can afford to have them, so let him have them." That is probably one of the most ignorant things I have ever heard about life. Is it about giving kids money, or is it about being a parent? If you're not there and you got 10 kids in 9 different households, you're not being a parent to everybody. So don't say that. Stop saying that. That means nothing. The fact that you have the money ain't enough. The money don't make you a good parent. There's a lot of rich trash parents out here. It's a lot of rich kids on dope, low self-esteem, keep a mental problem jumping off. And they got all the money and all the means that you could ever possibly want. But it ain't enough. It's not working. So don't give me that he or she has enough money so it don't matter. Your kids know the nanny better than they know you. The kids have spent more time with the butler than they had with you. The nanny taught your child how to tie his or her shoe. The butler taught your son how to shoot a basketball. But you they parent. You in the same household. So I don't think a lot of people take into account what it takes to actually be a parent. And it is the craziest thing to me, the fact that people just don't take that into account. I think another thing when it comes to being a parent, I don't think that a lot of y'all don't know that when your kids are growing up, you can't be their friend. You can't be your kid's friend when they're growing up. Once they get grown, you can be their friends, you can be their buddy, you can be their homies then. But under 18, ain't no friends. I'm grown. I have no friends under 18. None. I have nobody under 18 is my friend. Me and my friends got things in common. Me and my friends, we can loan each other money. We can borrow money from each other. We can pay to go to events together. We don't have to ask nobody where we can go and can we not go. We don't have to check in. That's me and my friends. My friends can rent rental cars. My friends can sign contracts. My friends can do all of those things. Someone under 18 can't do none of those things. You can't be my friend if you can't do that. None of that. You just can't. I don't care if you're under 18 and rich. You still can't be my friend under 18. What we gonna talk about? What we gonna talk about? I don't want to have an hour-long conversation about the lyrical geniusness of Sexy Red. I don't want to have that conversation. I'm not interested in that. If the extent of your cartoon childhood stops at Blue's Clues, you can't be my friend. You can't be my friend. If you don't know nothing about the Super Friends on Saturday morning, matter of fact, if you don't know nothing about Saturday morning cartoons, you can't be my friend. It just is what it is. If you don't know who the hell a Thundercat is, you can't be my friend. If you don't know who Inspector Gadget is and know the theme song, we can't be friends. You can't be my friend. You can't be my friend. If you don't know who Popeye the Sailor Man is, we can't be friends. So This whole idea of being friends with your kids is crazy to me. How can you discipline your friends? You don't get to discipline your friends. They're your friends. You don't get to tell your friends what to do. Your friends get to do what the hell they want to do. When they're your friends got to say so. They always get to express their opinion. Sometimes with a kid, it's as simple as I said so. And ain't nothing else to talk about. There ain't no explanation, and I don't have to give no explanation because I don't owe you no explanation. And if I give one, it's strictly because I just feel like giving one. But I don't owe you no explanation as the parent because you ain't paying for none of this. But that's old school parenting. And I think we have to find a balance between old school parenting and new school parenting because there are some new things that I think are significantly better. Like I have way more conversations with my kids than my mother ever had with us, than she ever had with us. But we have these conversations. Me and my kids talk all the time. I ask them what they think about stuff. My daughter watches the news like an old lady, and she'll mention stuff that she saw on the news. And my kids are adults now, so we clear on that. I don't have little kids anymore. But we'll have conversations about that type of stuff. You know, if there's a current event, my daughter probably knows about it because she's watched the news. Now, my son, not so much. But my son's analytical thinking is off the charts. It's freaking magnificent. So I enjoy talking to them. And again, my mother never did those types of things. And we've always had great conversation. We actually enjoy hanging out with each other and just kicking it. Even when they were little kids, we didn't talk as friends, but we had great just family conversations. And it's always been fun. And again, my mother never did that type of stuff. And it's not a knock. It's just different parenting. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm able to do those things. So that's new parenting. You know, my kids, you know, when 18 hit, it was, hey man, you need to figure something out. What you gonna do? You can't live here. You need to figure something out. What you gonna do? You need to have a plan. Yeah, the plan for my kids was to go to school, but it wasn't to leave. It wasn't. If they chose to go to school somewhere that required them to leave, so be it. But that just was not the case. Again, something different. There were times where I did ask my kids, you know, like even something as simple as meals. You know, what do y'all want for dinner? What do you know? I would map out the dinner for the week, and I would cook, and I would just set, you know, Tuesday would be whatever night, and then I rotated that. You know, each semester we would change the menu up. We would have 5 days of meals, and it would all be laid out. You know, Tuesday would be pork chop night, whatever. Then in the next quarter or whatever, Tuesday may be spaghetti night. You know, but my mama didn't do that. My mom just would come home and cook. And whatever she cooked, that's what was for dinner. She never asked what y'all want for dinner. I don't think I ever remember my mama saying what y'all want for dinner. I don't ever remember that question being asked in my whole life growing up. I don't think my mother ever asked. My mama got in her head what she wanted for dinner or what she knew was in the refrigerator, and that's what was getting cooked. Yeah, nothing. No, not a one time did she say what you want for dinner. It would have been nice, but she never did that. See, but I did that. Even now, I still cook, you know, and I still ask. Now I don't have set dinner days because they're not little kids anymore, but I still cook every day. And I cook, it was like, yo, I'm cooking this. You getting some of this? Or you not? So I know how much to cook. But outside of that, that's it. So what is good parenting then? So I done talked about being a bad parent. What is good parenting? I think good parenting is it's the sacrifice. It is the sacrifice. I think that is the easiest way to sum it up without getting all into the minutia of this and that and everything else. It is the sacrifice. Sacrificing so that your kids have the best path towards being a productive citizen. I think that is it. And whatever that looks like. You know, a productive citizen for your child might be being a plumber. Somebody else, it might be being a lawyer. Somebody else, it might be a chemist. Somebody else, it might be a rocket scientist. Somebody else, it might be stripper. Hey, whatever works. Whatever works. And I know some people like, oh no, not a stripper. Hey man, keep your judgments to yourself. Your child, yeah, she ain't no stripper, but she ain't the sharpest knife in the drawer neither. So hey, it is what it is. You know, yeah, she might be stripping, but your daughter pushing people around in the wheelchair at the airport, making minimum wage. She drive a Benz? How you judging her? It ain't illegal, so let's not judge. But anyway, so yeah, I think that is it. You want them to be, you got to make that sacrifice. If you do things to skirt that sacrifice of that responsibility, I think you fall into the trash parent category. Yeah, if you are, I say this often, I'm not a fan of child support. I don't think it is set up properly. I think there's a need for it because there are dudes out here who won't take care of their kids. So I think, well, people, now let me not just say dudes, there are people out here who won't take care of their kids, who have to be put on child support. So there is a need for it, but the system set up the way it is set up now is garbage. But I think if you are a guy who has been put on child support and you're not doing anything for your kids, and you also are trying to avoid paying child support, you're trash. You are a trash parent. Like I was reading an article the other day, well, a story, and it was a dude who the mom had said she wanted to get a kid a certain thing for Christmas. And she asked the father, would he go in half with her for this particular item? And the father said, no, don't I give you $500 a month for child support? Take it out of that. So I don't know what you do for your kids, and I can't count nobody money. I can't count nobody money. But yeah, it cost me a little bit more than $500 a month to raise these kids. And I'm talking about strictly for their stuff. I'm not even talking about like the lights and that type of stuff. For example, my daughter played volleyball in high school. That was almost $1,200 to get all of the uniforms and all of this stuff. And then she went to a camp. It was like $1,200. So that was that. Well, her hair needs to be done. The hair, when she got braids, the braids was $200 by themselves. Sneakers, clothes, you know, all of this stuff. Now she got to eat. That's a basic need. Anybody who has a teenage child, or not even a teenager, but just a child who's like 8 years or older, these dudes, when it comes to food, they're like bottomless pits. A 9-year-old little boy can eat about $200, $300 worth of groceries a month by himself. And again, we're talking about $200 in groceries, and he ain't. And if you can give him $500, and he eating $200 in groceries, he gotta get a haircut. See what I'm saying? So your 500 don't go as far as you think it does. So if you're trying to skirt that responsibility, because again, remember we talked about it. If you're not prepared for the financial ramifications of having a child, you shouldn't have a child. You should not have a child. And when I talk about this, I try to, get it, address all of the little sidebar stuff that I could that I know is coming. Like I know one of the things when I say don't have a child, well, the man don't have no choice. You get a woman pregnant, she decides she want to have a baby, she gonna have a baby. So it was her choice to have a baby. No, yeah. I guess if you want to nitpick like that. But the reality is, guess what she wouldn't have to make a decision on if you hadn't shot up the club. Y'all wouldn't have to have that conversation. If you don't shoot the club up, then there's no baby to talk about. If you don't lay down with that woman, there's no baby to talk about. But you wasn't thinking about that piece of it. You didn't care about that. You just was thinking about the cheeks. You just ignoring the ramifications that come after getting the cheeks, the babies. Now you made one. Now you want to hit the Uno reverse card, but it don't work that way. So when you shoot the club up, by default, you have said, I want to have a baby. That's what you said. When you do that, you by default said, I want to have a baby. Because if you make one, you have no say-so from that point on. Once you make your deposit, that deposit is now a gift. And this is a gift for that woman to do whatever she want to do with it. Because if you didn't want her to have it, you shouldn't have put it in there. So this idea that you don't have any control on whether to have it or not, you do. Don't make it in the first place. Yeah, I'm not giving y'all that no excuse. I'm not letting you cop out with that. Don't make it in the first place. Well, I made a mistake. Well, no mistake goes unpunished. And I get it. Sometimes you get caught up in the heat of the moment, things happen, and bam, look at you. Now you're parents. I get it. But that's where you at then at that point. Once that happens, and now you at that point, hey, welcome to being grown. We do grown folk stuff. Grown folk stuff happens. So I don't give you a cop out for that. You don't get to skirt that responsibility because you don't like how she looked. She wasn't the one because she a jerk and all of this. Then you probably shouldn't just be making babies with anybody. And that go for women too. It go for women too. It's way too many stories out here of women who you baby mama number 4. He don't take care of none of the other babies. But somehow magically you thought he was going to take care of yours. You thought he turned over a new leaf while laying in the bed with you. No. That's not true. You just gonna be baby number whatever. So you baby number 4, and there probably is gonna be baby number 5, baby mama 5, 6, and 7 too. Because that's how we get down. And again, as a woman, if you lay down with him, by default, you have just said, I want to have a baby with this dude. That's what you said by default, because you're doing what produces babies. So now don't get mad because a baby coming. And then you could not have the baby, but you decided to have the baby. And now you got to deal with everything that comes along with having had a baby. And again, that pendulum swings both ways. I get it that it's the dude's responsibility to help you with this baby. You didn't make this baby by yourself. But the reality, women, is if you get pregnant by a dude, mentally, you should be prepared to raise that child by yourself. And let me tell you why I say that. You should be mentally prepared to raise that child by yourself, because if you have that baby, it's no guarantee that dude's going to be there, and not be there because he's a trash father. What if you're married and the dude dies? You still got to raise the baby by yourself. What if he's in a car accident, gets paralyzed? He's daddy of the year before that. Now he's paralyzed. He can't work. He can't help you with them kids no more. See what I'm saying? He gets cancer or some illness that has him down and out for a long period of time. You got to raise them kids by yourself. You got to do all that by yourself. And again, these are scenarios that I'm not talking about scenarios with the dude is trash. I'm talking about just regular life stuff. What if you got pregnant by, he want to be in your child's life, but he's a trash human. He's a street dude. He's a thug. You came home, he was babysitting, he was blowing weed smoke in the baby face. You're like, man, I don't want this dude to be around my child. You got to be prepared to raise the child by yourself if you decide to have a baby with a dude, period. Because that dude might not be there. Again, for a multitude of reasons. So if you're not prepared to raise a child by yourself, then don't have no babies. Because I hear that all the time too. Why you don't have no kids? I don't have kids because I ain't never had no husband. I would like to be married and have babies. And you right, you should, and I get that. But that still does not guarantee that dude's gonna be around. You know how many women out here whose kids are by their ex-husbands, and that dude still don't help her take care of them kids right now? So being married is not a guarantee that you're going to get help with those kids. It's not a guarantee. So I don't know what if you want a kid. And I ain't saying have one with anybody, because again, we talked about what could be a result of that. But if you want to have a kid, then I think you should take the steps to have a kid, whatever those steps look like and make sense for you. Because you'll mess around and you'll look up and you be in your 50s with no kid and having wanted kids your whole life. And I say, don't do that. If you want kids, have kids. So if you're already mentally prepared to raise a kid by yourself anyway, and you happen to get pregnant by a dude who ends up to be trash or dies or whatever, and you got to raise, you're mentally prepared for that already. You're already ready to do this and go this alone. And I think if you mentally get yourself to that place, I think it helps in the long run, no matter what happens with this dude. Dudes on your side, if you don't want to be a parent, don't do stuff to make babies. It's just that simple. If you don't want to be a parent, don't do the stuff that make babies. And if you are doing the stuff that make babies, you need to take every precaution there is to take towards not making no babies. It's that simple. So let me know what y'all think. Get up out of here. Talking about parenting. Good parent and bad parent. You think you a good parent? In the comments, leave me some comments on what you think is a good parent. Leave me some comments on what you think is a bad parent. Because again, I think some people are bad parents, but they don't know they bad parents. And I'm not necessarily an advocate for telling people they bad parents, because I'm also a firm believer of, if those are your kids and you get to raise them how you want to raise them, even if how you raising them is horrible, I think you get to raise them however you want to raise them. Even if I disagree, because I don't want you telling me how to raise my kids. Since I don't want you telling me how to raise my kids, I'm not going to tell you how to raise your kids. And it is what it is. I think I'm a firm believer in that fact right there. If you're not abusing them, anything like that, then have at it. Even if you teaching them to be a racist, which I think is trash, of course. But I think it's their kids. If I'm a racist and this is my ideology, then I want my kids to follow my ideology, regardless of whether other people agree with that or not. They have the right to do that. You know, that's this thing we call freedom out here. All right. So tell somebody that knows somebody that we hear every Tuesday. I need to get my behind on time because I want to do this every Tuesday at 8. Start next Tuesday. I'm gonna be on time. I promise you, I'm gonna be on time next Tuesday. I promise you. I hope so. All right. So next week, I'm gonna holler at you. Thank you. Appreciate the people checking in. Thank y'all for watching. Share this with somebody. Tell somebody that knows somebody that I'm here. Good night, y'all.